We'll cover the support statement. This is what, earlier today there was actually a press conference to announce the result. It was a joint announcement between Cisco and VMware. There are lots of lines here, so let me just go through one by one. So the first line basically states that we officially support long-distance vMotion as of September 2009. Now, in terms of the software side, the ESX server support, you need to have vSphere 4 or later release. Obviously, future vSphere or whatever name that marketing choose to call will continue to support.
They would never do that now.
Now, one of the things that we require is that you have to have a single virtual center across the data centers. And part of the reason is that a VM normally is not just a VM. There are additional services associated with that VM. And trying, like the history, stats, and so on, and trying to migrate all that across a virtual center is not something that vSphere 4 is capable of doing today. So that's the reason behind that line. And the next line is that the clusters that, the various VMware cluster solution, HA cluster, DRS cluster, they are not yet aware of the WAN link between the two data centers. So those are the things that Chad referred to earlier, that you need to configure separate clusters on each side, but you should still be able to vMotion between the two sites.
That's one thing that a lot of people, for some reason, you don't naturally think of, right? The domain of DRS is a cluster. The domain of VMHA is a cluster. But vMotion can easily occur between clusters. People think vMotion is a cluster only.
So the next line is, if you don't remember anything from this talk, it's 200 kilometers. Right? So, I mean, that's good enough for managers, but if you're an engineer, you want to be more technical. So the technical thing is that 5 millisecond round trip delay, round trip time. So if you do a ping from this side to VM from this side to another side, and it has to come back within 5 milliseconds.
Do we have the iPerf updated to do the check before you can do that?
I think we're going to have some tools. These are fairly straightforward tools. Yeah. Now another part is obviously if you have a 10 megabit link, that's it's going to take a long time to move. So the minimum we support is OC12, 622 megabits per second. Now you notice that it's actually lower than the 1 gigabit link that we require on the local LAN vMotion. So I think we're, I don't know for sure, I think we're lowering the LAN number as well as part of this. So if you are doing the implementation, you need to remember two numbers, 5 millisecond and 622. Okay, so those are the two numbers that you need to remember. So then there are various things that you've heard about the experimental setup and so on. Now from the VMware support perspective, obviously we're not going to mandate you to go to a specific vendor, right? But we do lay out the general requirement. One is you have to have LAN extension, right? You want to extend layer 2, and Cisco. Some of the examples are like Cisco data center interconnect technologies. But certainly, if you have existing installations that provide the equivalent of 5 milliseconds and 622 megabits per second, and our support people will answer your call. The other part is IP addressing on the VM. Now, the IP address is built into the VM's TCP/IP